Hello and welcome to YouTube Gallifrey 02 and my episode review for episode 5 of series 10 of Doctor Who, Oxygen. So without further ado, let's begin with this review. My Doctor Who DVD collection. Is Captain Jack Harkness the face of both? So yes, Oxygen has just aired, and my initial thoughts on this episode is that it was okay, but sadly the worst of the series so far in my opinion, is I did think it was pretty boring in some parts. Now remember, this is my opinion, so please let me know what you think of this episode in the comments below, and I'll personally rate it a 5 out of 10, which is okay. I didn't hate this episode, but I just didn't particularly enjoy it as much as the other episodes of series 10 of Doctor Who, as it is now behind both the pilot Smile, Thin Ice and Knock Knock. So yeah, what was this episode about? Then I'm going to give my positives and negatives on this episode. So the Dr. Bill and Nardole arrive on this space station, and yes, 36 of the crew on this space station are dead. They have been killed by their own spacesuits, as the company who runs this mining facility in space, who mine copper ore in space, which I found very random. Why copper in space, as space is just empty? There is no copper in space, and yeah, even if it was on asteroids, the asteroids would be going into the spaceship every so often and destroying it. So yeah, didn't like that about this episode, but yeah, let's save that for the positives and negatives of this episode. So yeah, they arrive on this mining facility, there's 4 survivors, and yeah, basically the company are taking their limited oxygen supplies. If they don't pay it, they kill off the person who's in the spacesuit, and yeah, then the spacesuits are alive, and yeah, they just walk about trying to collect people's debts there. And yeah, just a pretty bland plot. I was lost in some parts of this episode. I didn't really know what was going on. It was a bit complicated in sometimes, maybe because I just missed a part of it, just wasn't listening. But yeah, I did think it was pretty bland, this episode. There weren't many flaws to it. There wasn't much action. I thought the ending was pretty rushed. So yeah, there's quite a few negatives of this episode already. But yeah, let's start with positives. So I did like it that it did carry on from Knock Knock with the whole Vault mythology thing. Thought that was very good. Got an insight to the Doctor doing more lectures at the university. A lot of chemistry between Bill and Nardole, which I found very good indeed, as there hasn't been much chemistry between those two characters in this series so far. Nardole and the adventure, yeah, Nardole was okay in this episode. He wasn't as bad as I thought he was going to be. He was okay. Finally, Bill wasn't in every scene. It wasn't through her eyes. And yeah, that might be a reason why I didn't like this episode as much, as it wasn't from her point of view, as all the past 4 episodes have been in her point of view. But in this episode, she was just kind of a normal companion. She was the asking questions one. She was the background character in this episode. The Doctor was the main character in this episode. And yeah, like that about this episode, as the Doctor is finally the main star. So yeah, negatives of this episode. Well, first of all, I just want to say that this episode was dull and boring, like I covered earlier on in this video. Didn't like the scenery in this episode. The CGI was pretty bad in some areas. And yeah, I have a thing against spaceship episodes, as in the past I haven't really enjoyed them that much. Spacesuits in this episode, yeah, they were okay. Characters, yeah, they were alright, I guess. The other characters were a bit, bland. And yeah, Personally, this episode wasn't my favourite episode of the series. There was room for a lot of improvement. But what really got me with this episode was the massive cliffhanger that the Doctor is still blind. As earlier on in the episode, the Doctor lost his sight as he sacrificed his spacesuit for Bill, and yeah, he was exposed to the vacuum of space, which meant he lost his sight for some reason. Learned a lot from this episode as well, which was brilliant. I didn't know, for example, that your lungs exploded in space if you held your breath, so yeah, that's a positive of this episode. But yeah, there is a lot of improvements which would need to happen with this episode if it was in the pre-production stage, as personally there's a lot of negatives and yeah, not many positives. I think this episode has the most negatives of the series, even more than Smile. You know, this episode, you know, it wasn't as good as the other episodes in my opinion. So yeah, that is the end of my review. Looking forward to the next episode, Extremis, which I am strongly looking forward to, as it looks awesome, absolutely awesome. We finally see the monks, we get more of an insight into the vault, and Missy returns, and the first ever appearance of the Pope in Doctor Who. So yeah, looking forward to that, and I will be doing a preview video of it tomorrow, so please stay tuned for that. And until the next time, goodbye.